Hello, this is Micky Deming from Kahuna Accounting, and I'm here with this webinar today to share with you 7 ways to grow your business with bookkeeping. I know that's a title that sounds maybe counterintuitive. It's not typically something you think of when you think of bookkeeping is growth, but that's exactly why I want to talk about it, because I think there's a lot of myths related to bookkeeping, and it's seen as a necessary evil, not as something that can actually drive growth. So let's get right into it. What we're going to cover today are the 7 things. So just to give you a preview, I'm not going to walk through them all because you can read them there, but each of these is something that when you apply it will actually benefit your business in a way for growth, in a way for moving it forward, not just taking something off your plate. And these are things that you can apply even related to anything else besides bookkeeping, but specifically today, how bookkeeping can help you make progress. So a little bit of background about Kahuna Accounting. We have been in business for 20 years. We've been doing the Kahuna Accounting brand for the last 3 years, but our entire history is entrepreneurial. Our founder is not an accountant, but he is an entrepreneur who, through the pain of accounting, ended up hiring an accounting staff to help him, and since then has sold the original business and now focusing on helping entrepreneurs, and the core of that is with outsourced accounting. We've been doing that for the last 3 years with zero, doing it all across the country. And for me specifically, sharing this with you today, I am coming not from the perspective of an accountant. I'm not an accountant. I'm not a bookkeeper. I don't do the accounting for our clients. But what I've done is talk to a bunch of entrepreneurs and ask them a lot of questions. And as we've grown and served now over 200 entrepreneurs in solving this frustrating thing for many of bookkeeping, I've seen the transformation. I've seen what people have gone through and seen what a difference it makes when you take something like bookkeeping that is a source of frustration and confusion and turn that into something positive. And so what I'm going to be talking about today is not, here, I'm an accountant, here's what you should do. It's coming more from a reporter perspective and the entrepreneur's perspective and what I've observed and seen. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So a few bookkeeping myths. This is the number one, I guess, hurdle to overcome is because the things I'm going to talk about today are all completely meaningless if you don't prioritize your financials. And I think a lot of people don't. And the reason why is just because there's this myth that it's not important, that it doesn't matter. Like what I care about as an entrepreneur is growing my business, is serving more clients, is doing good in the world. Bookkeeping is just some thing that it is just an annoying thing I have to deal with and get off my plate. I know I have to get taxes done. I know I have to track these things, but it's not really what my business is about. I believe that is a huge myth. I believe bookkeeping can provide insight that allows you to do the things you want to do. It provides health for your business, and it absolutely needs to be prioritized. So the real question we're going to break down here is exactly what I was just talking about. Is bookkeeping just a necessary evil, or is it a tool for growth? I think a lot more people would prioritize it, would value bookkeeping if they saw it as a tool for growth and not just a necessary evil. So I think these 7 reasons are going to help us all value it more. And so just so you don't think, hey, this guy works for Kahuna Accounting, of course he's going to tell us we should value bookkeeping. That makes perfect sense because that's what he's all about. I wanted to share some quotes from people that are smarter than me, so I'm not the only one saying it. I'm not just saying it so to make our business look better. This is just true about business. This is what Mark Cuban said. If you don't understand the basics of accounting, finance, marketing, it's the same thing. For me, my goal is always to carve my own destiny and reduce my dependence on others as much as possible. If you don't know the language of business and you always need someone to translate that for you, that's a problem. So that's from Mark Cuban. He says, accounting is the language of business. If you don't know it, you're going to need someone to translate for you, and therefore you are dependent on others. You're not in control of your own destiny. Here's another quote, Marcus Lemonis. If you've ever seen the show The Prophet, a lot of people love that show. He's a great guy. Here's what he says. I believe understanding numbers is a roadmap to success. For business owners, not knowing the basics will hurt their ability to make projections and grow the business. Without financial know-how, they find themselves out of cash and out of business before they even realize it. So what if you looked at accounting as not a necessary evil, but as a roadmap to success, as a way to project and look forward and inform the way your business is going to move? That's what these guys are saying. These experts of business are saying you've got to value these things. This is a priority for your business, and the people that mess it up end up finding themselves in a big mess down the road. So point number one, we're going to talk about 7 ways to grow your business with bookkeeping. Number one, you're going to grow your business by shifting your mindset. And what I'm talking about is not shifting your mindset in terms of prioritizing it, but how when you get this organized, it makes you more confident as a business owner. And when you're more confident, you're going to grow. So what is the purpose of healthy accounting? That's probably the most important first question. If we're going to say it's not a necessary evil, it actually has value, what is the purpose? And I would say that the purpose is for you to become an empowered business owner, to take control of the business and to feel a sense of ownership of the business. So healthy accounting is a roadmap, is an understanding of the health of your business. And what that means is not just numbers in boxes or numbers on a paper. That means you become empowered. You become confident as you own your own business. So just to break this down, let's do a comparison. Person A versus person B. So person A, this might sound familiar. Person A spends an entire week or maybe 2 weeks or maybe a month compiling information to get taxes done. So right now we're just into 2016. A lot of people are starting to have these conversations. Their CPA, they go to the CPA for tax time. The CPA says, here's all the stuff I need, and it's a complete mess, complete back and forth, a lot of reacting, a lot of gathering information, going back and forth to get it together. Throughout the year, you are playing catch up. Your CPA you have a relationship with, but they're not really able to add any value. They're not able to do anything strategic because you're playing catch up. You don't have any real numbers to give advice on. Everything you do is reactive, is going backwards. Everything person A does. Sorry, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to person A. Person A spends an entire week. They're just compiling this information and failing to just have these things organized and streamlined, and it's just such a headache. Tax season is something to dread. Their CPA conversations are something to dread. They're not efficient. They're not valuable. It's more of just catching up. Compare that to person B. Person B has financial reports every single month. So the end of the year is no different than, June or another month, because they're getting these financial reports. They're using them to inform themselves about the business. And so when it comes time for tax season, their CPA says, here's the reports I need, and boom, there's those reports. Taxes are done quickly and painlessly, but even more importantly than that, they're able to get real advice from their CPA, because when their CPA, they may meet with them quarterly, maybe monthly, they're able to see numbers, see what's going on with expenses, and make real advice in terms of best use of income and expenses, best way to reduce their tax burden, and best way to manage the business. So person B just pulls it up on demand. Person A is always reacting, chasing, and playing catch up. So how big of a difference does that make? So we're talking about person A playing catch up, not getting any real advice, and person B having things streamlined, dialed in, with a few clicks of the button, they're producing reports and getting real advice. How big of a difference does that make? Like, it's not just that person B is probably going to save a lot of money on tax time and feel just a lot more peace of mind in getting it done. Much more important than that is person B has this sense of confidence, this sense of ownership, this ability to look forward, to focus on the things that matter, whereas person A is always reacting and always kind of guessing, like, I think I did okay, can you give me some reassurance? And so the growth that comes is not just from being organized, it's from that confidence, from that feeling of like, I am in control of this. You can't put that into words or into numbers, what the ROI is of feeling that type of ownership. So here's the question to ask yourself, and it's a tough question, and I know you would all answer it Yes, but you have to ask it. Are you taking your business seriously? So everyone would hear that question and say, absolutely, this is like the most important thing to me. This is my life. I've poured my heart and soul into this. And I believe that. And so if that's true, then it's hard to understand how you would not prioritize the bookkeeping, how you not prioritize the day-to-day financials, the understanding of where things stand, because that is your lifeblood. That is your roadmap to success. That is your way of measuring whether you're winning or losing. And so if you're taking your business seriously, this got to be a priority. And so number one in our steps to growth is knowing that your numbers is empowering as a business owner, is getting in control and building confidence for your growth so you take control of your business. So that's number one, is that your clarity builds confidence and ownership. So number two, it's going to be similar, but we're going to get a little more practical. The growth step number two is to create reports on demand. So this is the real difference between person A and person B, is that person B has a year-round understanding. They have a bookkeeping system that allows them to access financial reports on demand. That is the key difference. That allows for everything to change when you have that. It allows you to get real advice. It allows you to look forward. It allows you to have taxes be simple. The reports on demand is the thing that sets the two apart. And the key point in that is that it doesn't just happen. Like deciding I want financial reports on demand is not something that a software is going to solve. It's bigger than that. So let's figure out how that works. The accounting fundamentals, I won't dwell on this too much because I don't want it to get boring. But really what we're talking about is you need a chart of accounts. And that just means you have a list of accounts where every transaction is going to be booked to. You need to have a proper setup, and we'll talk about this later, but where most people go wrong in their accounting and bookkeeping is they never get set up correctly, which means they're always playing catch up and always trying to figure this out on the fly. Once you have the chart of accounts and proper setup, then what you need to be doing is bank reconciliation. So everything that flows through your bank needs to be reconciled, needs to be accounted for as an expense, as income. And when you do that, when you have everything reconciled, everything accounted for, you're able to produce financial reports. You're able to produce them on demand, and that leads you to taxes and everything that's needed to do taxes. So it's really the heart of it is the setup and the bank reconciliations. When you talk about bank reconciliations, this is where a lot of people get overwhelmed. Like, how am I supposed to do this? How am I supposed to keep up with it every day? But what that does when you're able to do it is provide real-time information, provide an audit trail of what's going on with the business, and provide the ability for any report you could even imagine. And the way I like to think of bank reconciliations is it's like doing the dishes. This is a example used by a good friend of ours, Philip Campbell, who is a financial expert. But he always talks about bank reconciliations being like doing the dishes. If you do the dishes every day, you do them regularly after every meal, it's not really a big deal. You just do them, they're done, and they're done. If you let them pile up though, then you end up with a real mess on your hands. You put it off for a couple days, all of a sudden you've got some nastiness that's built up in that sink, and it's just this thing you dread and you avoid at all costs. So it's the same with your financials. If you don't stay on top of it, it becomes a real mess. And I think a lot of people identify with that. Even if they try to do it every month, things pile up. It's a lot of catch up, a lot of trying to fix something that if it was just kept up with regularly, or if there was a system in place, wouldn't have been that big of a deal. So so let's say you have that in place. You're doing the dishes every day, you're getting reconciliations done, and you are able to produce financial reports on demand, because that's the end result of doing reconciliations. What does that do? How does that help you grow? So here's some examples, and these are all real examples from clients that we've talked to. Number one, we talked about at the beginning, so I won't talk about it much now. You save money and headache at tax time. If you're able to produce reports on demand, you will be blown away by how much easier your tax season is. The other is proactive advice and consulting. So if you are working with a consultant, if you are working with an advisor of any kind, if you don't have any financial reports to produce, how are they going to give you relevant advice? Like they might give you advice on how to grow or something like that, but they can't point to margins. They can't point to expenses that may not make sense. And so it's really limiting on what type of advice you can get. If you're able to produce reports on demand, they can really dig in and give you some meaningful advice on how to grow and scale the business. Another example is the ability to work with lenders. This is a more and more common situation now where banks and lenders are find it very difficult to lend money because of the restrictions they have. And so if you're not able to produce financial reports, there's absolutely no way a bank is going to work with you, because they need to cross a lot of check boxes off, and they need to see the financials. And even if you're able to pull everything together to work with the bank, you're wasting a lot of time in organizing it rather than doing it on demand, working quickly, getting what you need, and getting back to work. So reports on demand hugely impacts your ability to work with lenders. And lastly, one that people often overlook, but if you're an entrepreneur, even though your business is its own entity, you are linked to your business in every way. That is your source of income. That is your it's part of your identity as a person. And so if you're looking to, for example, buy a house, and this is an example we've heard where people want to get a loan for a house, the lender in that case is going to want to see financial information about the business, because they need to know, what are the trends, how's it going, how sustainable is this, and how much income can be counted on. And so if you're not able to produce reports on demand, it not only hurts you as a business owner, but it hurts you in some personal areas as well. And one example is buying a house. So number 2, for your 7 ways to grow your business with bookkeeping, is creating reports on demand. And that allows you to work quickly and effectively with professionals. You don't waste time and money. You're not searching for data and information, and you're able to do things quickly and in a way that actually allows you to move things forward. So producing reports on demand is a huge piece in growing your business. Third, empowering your business with technology. So technology is something that we all are very, very aware of, and how much it's impacted our businesses, our personal lives. It's impacted everything. And a lot of people don't realize that technology has had a huge impact on the accounting world too. And some of these challenges we're talking about, like doing the dishes every day, getting reconciliations done, getting reports on demand, seems overwhelming. But when you are able to use technology to your advantage, it doesn't have to be as hard as it seems. So let's talk about that. Like we said at the beginning, where does bookkeeping go wrong? There's really only 2 things that cause that. Number 1 is we never get into a system that works. So even if we do prioritize it or we think it's important, if we don't get into a system that works, we're always playing catch up, and there's no way to just fix it on the fly. It needs to start out right, and then it'll work. And then the second is we don't even make it a priority. So we just are focused on growth, focused on clients, and we don't make bookkeeping a priority, and that's where things go wrong. So technology can really solve that. It can help you in both of those. It can help you organize it, and it can help you prioritize it. So I want to talk about these 4 trends in accounting, and I think it'll help you be a little less intimidated by it, because technology has really streamlined a lot of things. And these 4 trends come from Doug Sleater, who's definitely a giant in the accounting world, one of the experts in it, and he shares these 4 trends that are happening in the accounting world. So the first is chunkification, and so basically what that means is that rather than one giant system where, previously that was thought to be beneficial to have one giant system that could do everything, that has become not the preferred option, because rather than having one thing that does everything mediocre, it's better to have a bunch of systems that specialize in what they do. And so there are now systems like Xero, which we recommend, that are cloud-based and that integrate with tons of different practice management tools, invoicing tools, payroll systems, time tracking systems, whatever you need to run your business. If you are already using something for creating invoices, you don't have to have your accounting system do it all. So like an example that we see a lot is that a business would use FreshBooks for invoicing, that would integrate into Xero for the tracking and reconciliations and accounting reports, and that would integrate with a service like Gusto, which is formerly Zen Payroll, to do payroll. So you don't have to have one system do everything. A trend in accounting is that these systems it's easier and easier to integrate them. And so you can work in a tool that you're really comfortable with, but then integrate it with your accounting system and not have to force something that doesn't work. The second is eliminating data entry. This is one that makes people really, really happy. So when you have integrated tools like we just talked about, when you're integrating bank feeds like Xero does and like QuickBooks Online does, you really have the ability to eliminate data entry from the bookkeeping process, which seems crazy. Most people think that's what bookkeeping is. It's data entry. Doesn't have to be that way anymore with integrated tools and with the cloud bringing things over. Number three, another trend is collaborative. So we talked a lot earlier about getting proactive advice, having advisors be a part of it, having your CPA be a part of things. With the cloud, it's very easy to work with professionals. You don't have to take your whole accounting world and put it on a thumb drive. You're able to invite people in, you're able to share access, and have real-time information to work with advisors. And the fourth trend is a trend that has taken over everything, and that is mobile. Accounting is no different. You can now access your accounting system from any device. You're not tied to one place. You can use your phone, you can use your tablet, you can use those to invoice and to upload receipts. You can make data entry instant so things aren't lost. So you can do it from anywhere, and it's making the whole process a whole lot more efficient. So number three is to make technology your friend. A lot of people are intimidated by accounting, like, how do I do this? How do I get all this information? How do I keep on top of it? Technology has made this a whole lot easier. You can use tools you're comfortable with. They integrate with each other to eliminate data entry, and you can use your mobile device from anywhere that allows you to keep on top of these things and allow you to move a lot faster and focus where you're best. Number four, in terms of our growth hacks for bookkeeping, is defining an informed target. So accounting, we like to say this here, is that accounting is the only scoreboard for your business. So a lot of people want to grow, and that's something that they measure and they track, but that's not a true scoreboard for your business. That doesn't measure success, because you can grow a lot and you can get a lot of clients, you can get a lot of customers, you can bring in a lot of revenue, but may not be profitable, and you may not be moving towards the goals that you have set. So another way to look at it, it's like a roadmap. So if you have a goal in mind, if you know where your business is going, if you say, I want to be here in 3 years, the only real way to measure progress toward that or build a model towards how you're working towards that is inside your accounting system. And that's why I said to define an informed target. So you might define a target, like I want to make $10 million in revenue this year. Okay, what does that mean? How many people do I need to hire? How much expense do I need to have? And how does that get me closer to where I want to go? And so it's very important to set goals and to know what you're headed towards. But a lot of people have that, but it's also important to back that up with real information. And accounting is a great way to create that roadmap to build towards as you grow. Every goal you have is tied to financials. So if you just think of these questions, how do you build profitability? How do you grow beyond yourself? A lot of people struggle with that. Like, I want to hire people, I want to build a team. How do you make a greater impact? How do I reach more people? All of these questions tie back to your accounting system. They don't have to be this mystery of like, I'll grow and then I'll figure it out. You can build these things into your accounting system and understand what do you need to do in terms of profitability? How much cash on hand do you need to have? When can you hire people? Those are all questions tied to your financials, and the people that don't prioritize it or are always looking backward are extremely limited in their ability to set goals and follow through on them, because they're just guessing and they're just kind of moving forward aimlessly. So number 4 is to define a goal, a meaningful target for your business, to create a roadmap, create a scoreboard for success. So we all want to succeed. We all want to hit goals. What is the scoreboard? If you don't have a scoreboard, how do you know if you're winning? How do you know if you're winning or losing? How do you know if you're making progress? Accounting can provide a lens to look at that through. And that goes back to the beginning, what Marcus Lemonis, what Mark Cuban were saying, like these are the roadmaps to success, your financial system. That's what's going to tell you how you're progressing towards your goals, what needs to change if you're not progressing towards your goals, and how you can fix those things. So moving right along, number 5 is similar. So if bookkeeping can allow a kind of a roadmap for success, an informed target to move towards, then kind of the next layer to that is making better decisions. As entrepreneurs, we're constantly making decisions. What the problem with that is a lot of times we're not informed in our decisions. We just kind of decide. We just take what we have and we go with whatever information we have at hand. Unfortunately, a lot of times our scope is very, very limited. And with good bookkeeping, you find a lot of things that you may not realize. And we see this all the time. When we help clients get set up into a bookkeeping system, they find invoices that have been created and never paid. And those might be 3 to 6 months old. And that's kind of eye-opening, like, wow, how did I miss that? That was money that I was owed. You find expenses that don't make sense. You probably think right now, like, all of the expenses I have in my business have a purpose. But then when you actually break that down and look at them, you always find things that don't make any sense, and you can make more money by cutting those out. You also find that certain products are outperforming others. A lot of people don't realize that either. Like, they have multiple products, and you pour a lot of energy into one product and marketing it and pushing it out. And then you actually look at your financial information and you see that this other product that you're putting less energy into is actually the most profitable part of your company, or it's the biggest driver of revenue. And when you actually look at that, you think, wow, what would happen if I put all my energy into that product? And so these are just examples to show you that your decision making right now, if you're not using financial data to back it up, is probably very, very limited. And it's probably misguided because you're really just going by instinct. And instinct doesn't always lead you to the right destination. You need to use numbers to make decisions. So it's not just about making these all black and white things. Like, as an entrepreneur, that's never going to be the case. But you need to have as much information as you can possibly have, especially when you start to grow and you think, what would it look like to hire someone? I feel like I need to hire someone. I feel like my team's overburdened, overstressed, but is that even an option? Your numbers can tell you whether that is, or what would need to happen if you did hire someone. You can look at what would increasing advertising do, or if you did increase advertising, you can view the ROI and see how much of an impact did it have. You can start to look forward and make better decisions and start to plan ahead. Like, okay, I know if we grow this much, we're going to need to hire someone else in the next 3 months. Those are all things your accounting system can point you toward, and that if you don't have your financials in order, you're really just guessing and reacting. Another good example is just being a leader. This is another Philip Campbell example, and you can see it at his blog. He's an expert in this. But when you have financial information, your leadership is extremely improved. And if you consider yourself a leader but don't have a handle on the financials, you're really selling yourself short and really hurting your team, because you're not able to identify dangers, identify opportunities. You're not able to have a deeper understanding of the business model, and you're also not able to think strategically about profitability. That's super important. So if you want to be a leader, you need to be strategic. You need to see the big picture. And if you don't have your financial information, you're not seeing the big picture, and you're not able to be strategic. So what bookkeeping really does, and just to put it in a simple way, is it keeps your finger on the pulse of the business. So every business owner needs to have that strategic understanding of the business, and bookkeeping is a great way to, it doesn't solve all the problems, it doesn't give you every answer that you need, but it keeps your finger on the pulse of the business so you can be informed, you can be a better leader, and you can think strategically about what's going on. So number 5 is pretty simple. When you have a bookkeeping system, you can make better decisions, you look forward instead of backward, and you can be a better leader as you move your team forward. Number 6, and this is more, more of a broad conversation, but I think probably one that's most important, and it's that good bookkeeping, good financials allows you to remove noise and discover clarity in your business. If you were to think about your business right now, I would say probably one of the biggest roadblocks to success, or maybe the biggest, is distractions. Today's entrepreneur, really today's human, but especially entrepreneurs, we are so bombarded with noise. There's so much noise, so many distractions, so many things flying at you at a million miles an hour, that it can be extremely overwhelming. It's just noisy. It's noisy and overwhelming, and that can be one of the biggest limiting factors in our success, is that we're always reacting. We're always having things thrown at us. And if you don't define your priorities clearly, you'll always be playing catch up. You'll always be overwhelmed by that noise. And it's extremely critical to be able to cut through the noise, to focus on things that matter, and to prioritize. And bookkeeping is a lot of times a contributor to that noise. And I think that's why a lot of people don't prioritize it. It's because we're overwhelmed with so much noise already. We don't have enough time in the day. We're always playing catch up. And bookkeeping is another factor in that noise. It's like if we don't know what's going on, if we're drowning in paper and feeling overwhelmed and disorganized, it's just another thing. It's another element, another layer in this world of too much noise, and that makes bookkeeping even more frustrating, and it makes everything else worse. It's just this feeling of overwhelm is what we're trying to avoid, and a lot of times bookkeeping contributes to it. So here's kind of the contrast, the other side of that. So that's extremely important and extremely frustrating. And so when we work with clients and go back to them and we ask for their feedback, we ask for them to share like what was the most important thing about getting their bookkeeping organized to get their financials in order. And really we expect to hear, I save money, or I make more money, or I see things that I wasn't expecting. Those aren't usually the things people say. What people say are these phrases here that I have listed out. These were the most common ones that came up again and again. Peace of mind, clarity, someone that has my back, feel in control, removing anxiety. Those are the things that matter. And the reason why is because if you take something that is a source of noise, a source of chaos, and you turn it into something that is clarity, that is peace of mind, that allows you to breathe, the difference in that is a game changer. And that's not just a pitch for our services. It's a way to understand that when you get this organized, probably the biggest source of growth out of all of these 7 is that feeling of peace of mind. Like what is the ROI of that? What is the meaning of having clarity in your business and getting through the chaos and the noise? And that's what can happen when you have a system in place that works. So number 6, and this is a huge one, when you have clarity and peace of mind, you are more effective as an entrepreneur and as a person. And bookkeeping is this common source of anxiety. And that is something that's the last thing in the world you need. And so you have to think about it like this. Like if you have a business, bookkeeping is not going to go away. Accounting is not going to go away. Taxes are going to come every year. Your financials are what tell you how you're doing, what tells you how much you're collecting. It's not going to go away. So it's going to be a part of the business. And so if you have it in an unorganized way, then that is adding to the noise in your life, adding to the stress in your life. And if you do have a system that works, if it is organized and simple and clear, that can be a source of peace of mind as opposed to anxiety. And that is worth a ton. That is a huge opportunity for growth because it frees you up and allows you to really see, to understand what's going on in the world around you. So finally, we're at number 7. And this one really is the end result to 1 through 6. So if you do 1 through 6 and you have a system that works, you start to have clarity. Now you are able to play to your strengths, which is something we all want to do. Time is more important than money. It's something you'll never get back. And so you can always create more money. You can always find more somewhere. Time you never get back. And so there's nothing more important than maximizing the very little time that you get. And too many people, too many entrepreneurs waste time on things that don't matter. And how important is that? How you invest your time is the most critical element of entrepreneurial success. You have to, because we're limited with time, and there's so many things to do, the biggest factor in our success is how we invest our time. Do you invest in activities that play to your strength? Do you invest in activities that grow the business, that move it forward? Or are you just staying busy but not really driving anything forward? Or are you constantly distracted and feeling like you're wasting your time doing a lot of things that take time but don't really move things forward? That is a tragedy if that's what's happening. And so if you have a bad system, you now have a bad use of time. A lot of people with bookkeeping are spending time on data entry, on gathering information, overthinking decisions that could be made easily if you had things on demand, and being reactive instead of proactive. So this kind of goes along with the last one, adding to the noise and the chaos in your life. But it's more than that. It's also a bad use of time. So all these things we're talking about are a horrendous use of time. And because time is so important, that is a huge limiter in your success if you're wasting time on things that are completely pointless. So growth step number 7 is to get into a system that works so you can focus where you're best and doing things that drive the business forward. A lot of people are familiar with the 80-20 principle, that 20% of the activity produces 80% of the results. Bookkeeping is clearly an 80% activity, an activity that you can outsource or you can get streamlined, and that is not a good use of time if you're in it and it's not producing results. So if you are able to get a system that works, that takes it off your plate, you are able to spend more time on those 20% of activities that actually generate the biggest results. And so it's a huge growth step with bookkeeping. If you get into a system that works, then you're able to stop wasting time chasing things down and doing things that aren't really helpful. So just to recap, those are 7 things that I believe can make a huge impact in your growth. Shifting your mindset into a mindset of confidence, creating reports on demand so you can get the answers and advice quickly, empowering your business with technology so you can move faster, creating informed targets so you can actually move towards a destination that is meaningful, removing noise and discovering clarity so you're not overwhelmed, and making better decisions, and also playing to your strength. So where does it go wrong? We talked about this at the beginning. If those are the things that you need to do, and those are the ways to grow your business with bookkeeping, why is that not the case for so many people? Where does that go wrong? Well, I've kind of hinted at it already, but it really goes wrong with how things get started. And this makes a lot of sense. Here's what almost every business is told. You have a business, you need to get QuickBooks. And you get QuickBooks, and you may get some help setting it up, but probably not a full hands-on setup and not really a walkthrough on how it works. And so you set it up, but then you start doing the business. You start doing whatever you're doing, and QuickBooks kind of goes to the back burner. And so you never really get going. You never really get any momentum in the right direction. And so right from the start, you're playing catch up. And if things are wrong, like, that's not something that 3 months in you can say, okay, I'm going to prioritize this now, because it's already messed up. You're already behind. And so it's not going to make any sense. And so where it goes wrong is it never gets started correctly. And that is by far the most important thing to your bookkeeping success. The second is that you don't make it a priority. So even if you get started correctly, or you maybe never even get QuickBooks or get a system, it's because you don't make it a priority. And you think, I got to get sales, I got to get this off the ground. That mindset, trust me, is very understandable. I think that that is where your focus needs to be on, is on your clients, on your marketing, on your growth. But that doesn't mean you don't prioritize this. That doesn't mean you don't understand that accounting is the language of business, and it deserves equal priority to anything else, because those sales are going to have to be recorded, going to have to be documented, going to have to be collected, and those are going to point towards what you need to do as you move it forward. And so those two things, I probably should switch the order. The first is to make it a priority, and second is to get set up properly. If you can do those two things, you'll be on the right track to getting into a system that works. And that's really where it goes wrong, is most people don't do that. So that's where it went wrong, and you might be thinking, okay, that's cool, but how does that help me knowing how it went wrong? What do I do about that now? So here's the best case scenario to fix it. And this is something that we've really spent a lot of time thinking about. This is what we live in every day, and really believe this is the best case scenario. Is if you're an entrepreneur, you are not an accountant. And just because I'm saying to prioritize bookkeeping, I'm not saying you need to be an expert bookkeeper. You need to be an expert accountant. That's not at all what I'm saying. You need to be an expert at what you're an expert in, at your business, at your clients, at your service. And so the best case scenario is that you have a team that will organize this for you, that will get you set up properly, get you in the right technology that is efficient, and will do it for you behind the scenes and produce financial reports. You need to know enough to know what those reports mean, to keep your finger on the pulse of the business. But a best case scenario is that you have a team that has your back and has these things done and is giving you the information, is producing the things on demand, and that you are able to focus on your business. So if that's you, that's what we do. KahunaAccounting.com was created to solve that exact problem. Our founder, Frank Lunn, is not an accountant. He went through every pain you could imagine in accounting, and he hired a team to help him sort through it, and that was a game changer for him and his business. And so Kahuna Accounting was started as a way to provide a professional accounting staff to entrepreneurs all over the country, to entrepreneurs who are doing big things, who are impacting people, who need to focus on their strengths, not on the financials. And so that's what we do. We take it off your plate. And so if that is you, if you are that entrepreneur who never got started correctly, haven't really prioritized it, haven't been able to keep up with doing the dishes and the reconciliations, we're happy to clean it up. It's not as bad as you think. And it's very, what we're doing every day for entrepreneurs is giving them that clarity and peace of mind, and smoothing things over. And even if you didn't work with us, if you are in a position where you've grown and have your financials, you've grown and the business is kind of established, find a team that can support you. Whether you have someone in-house, whether you outsource it to someone like us, the best case scenario is to have professionals focusing on the accounting, giving you real-time information, and you focusing on your business. And so if you are interested, you can head to KahunaAccounting.com. You can fill out a form there. It's all over the site. You can go to the contact form, and that will allow you to schedule an appointment with someone from our team. And we'll just ask questions. We'll just ask questions on how you're doing and see if there's a way we can help. It won't be this super high pressure thing. We just love to hear from entrepreneurs and find out if there's a way we can help. However, I know there's a lot of you who are not quite in that space, and this is something we're really passionate about. So a lot of times people come to Kahuna Accounting and they say, gosh, this sounds great. I really want someone that can do this for me. I hate the numbers. I hate the books. I need someone to help me, but I'm just not there yet. I can't afford the monthly subscription cost. I can't afford to outsource it because I'm just too new. This is still new and I'm still growing, and I can't make that type of investment. And we get that. And the problem is for the new entrepreneur, for the entrepreneur who is just getting started, there's really kind of a no man's land. Like there's not a great answer. So like what most people do is work with the CPA to kind of help them set up the structure of their business. And then they stay in touch with that CPA like once a year. And then they get their system, either QuickBooks or Xero, and then they're on their own. And like I said before, you never get set up correctly. You don't really have anyone helping you out. And so these numbers become a huge mess, and they fall behind. And you, as a new entrepreneur, the last thing you need to be doing is stressing over the accounting. But you're in no man's land. You can't hire someone to do it for you. You can't outsource it to professionals. But you also aren't set up in a system that works. And so what do? So we have created TREPX Accounting to solve this exact problem. So for the entrepreneur who is new, or maybe is just a freelancer and doesn't want to commit a big expense to having professionals do it, we've created a hybrid model to help you succeed. And so the goal is what we do at TREPX Accounting is the Kahuna Accounting team, the professionals that we have there to help. What we do is set you up in Xero accounting software, get everything going right, get everything connected and working. We walk you through it on the phone. We give you training on how to use the system. We have built out a video library on common questions on how to use it. And then we also provide ongoing support. So once you're set up, then you're on your own to do the reconciliations. But once everything's working correctly, things move pretty smoothly. And then when you have questions, you have access to our team. And so you can reach out and get support. We also have a membership group with like-minded entrepreneurs, with webinars, with training, with frequently asked questions that we're constantly building into. And so this, we believe, is the best case scenario for that new entrepreneur who is not ready to offload their bookkeeping. We think, getting professionals to do it for you is the best case scenario, but we understand that that's not always an option. And so if that's what you're looking for, you can see what we have and how it works at trepxgroup.com/accounting. We have to be limited in how many people we can take. That's because it's a pretty hands-on setup, and so we can't serve tons of people. And so we actually have an application process to make sure that it's the right fit, that we're able to serve you well, and that this makes sense. And so you can see that at trepxgroup.com/accounting. You can fill out the form. And actually, the first 50 signups through this webinar can sign up for $20 off per month. So the package, just to be fully transparent, it's $500 up front for the setup, and then it's $87 a month for the zero subscription, for the ongoing support, and for the membership community. For the first 50 signups, we're actually doing it for $67 a month instead of $87. So if that's you, check it out, trepxgroup.com/accounting. You can fill out the form, or you can absolutely contact us if you have questions about details. We're happy to chat about it. So if that's you, we'd love for you to check it out and see if that's a way that you can get help in growing your business with bookkeeping. So I just want to thank you so much for being part of this. It's fun to talk about. I hope that more and more people will take bookkeeping seriously, will prioritize it, and will be informed as business owners. Because I think we need entrepreneurs. We need entrepreneurs that are hiring people, that are leading, that are making a difference. And I think entrepreneurs struggle and short themselves when they don't have a good handle on their numbers. So if you have any questions, you can reach out to me anytime. You can find all our information at kahunaaccounting.com and also trepxgroup.com. So thanks so much for joining today, and I hope to see you soon. Thanks.